Hello, translators. This interview today with Corinne McKay is quite meaningful for the translation industry, and you see why. Everybody knows Corinne, but some may not know the main facts about her. Corinne was a French teacher who became a translator, blogger, published writer, webinar facilitator, former CTA president, and current ATA American Translators Association director. But today we have great and wonderful news. Corinne is so far uncontested running for ATA president-elect this coming November at the ATA conference.
Thanks, Thaïs, and thanks for inviting me to be interviewed. And I just wanted to remind everyone who's an ATA member that if you meet the requirements to become a voting member, you should definitely do that, because although the officer positions this year are unopposed, the director positions are contested. So we have 6 great people running for 3 director positions. And if you'd like to vote for them, if you're ATA certified, you can automatically vote. But otherwise, you have to go through the voting member review process, and all of the information is on the ATA's website, and it's free. So I'd encourage you to do that.
Okay, thank you for the information, Corinne. And I have a first question for you is, you have developed a skyrocketing career. What is the formula? Please share it with us.
Well, I don't know about skyrocketing, because one thing I always say is I started translating with a long runway, if you want to put it that way. The first year I started translating, which was in 2002, I made $9,000 my first year. So that's not skyrocketing, right? That's just starting slowly. And then my second year I made 18,000, and my third year I made 36,000, and it kind of grew from there. So to me, I guess the formula, if there is one, which I think one of the interesting things about freelancing is that there is no formula, is just that I started slowly so that I could focus on working with clients who I really liked and find out what I enjoyed and was good at. But I'd say, as far as some sort of recipe, I always tell my translation students that somewhere there's an intersection between what you like to do and are good at and what clients are willing to pay for. So part of becoming a successful translator is finding that intersection, finding what do I enjoy and what am I good at, and where does that intersect with clients who have a budget to pay me. And then I guess just in the other side of my business, which is writing books and teaching classes for freelance translators. It's not necessarily that I'm the best at that, but I was sort of one of the first people to address that translator business education niche. So when I wrote the first edition of How to Succeed as a Freelance Translator, there wasn't a lot out there about business practices for freelance translators. So I like to say not the best, but the first book about business practices for freelance translators. And then in my translator life, I translate mostly international development, corporate communications, and books. And all of those, I guess, are just niches that I really enjoy and find meaningful. So that's my personal recipe, but everybody's recipe is going to be different.
Wow. Yeah. And we can see that you're highly committed to the profession and to your work, and the results are there for everyone to witness. How do you still find time to be a great mother, a wife, spending summer in Italy, Nepal, and bike riding with your family in the Moab desert?
Well, Nepal was pre-kids, we should say that, but I'd love to go back there. And yeah, we do a lot of traveling and things like that as a family. So I guess I have kind of a personal answer and a business answer to that question. That I'd say, from the personal standpoint, my non-work life is a big priority for me. I find my work very fulfilling. I love my job, and I look forward to Mondays just about as much as I look forward to Fridays. But I also think I'm not going to be laying on my deathbed and thinking, boy, I wish I worked more. I think these activities outside of work are what makes me happy to be alive and spending time with people I love. So it's a big priority for me. And from the business standpoint, I think basically I figure out how much I want to work or can work, how much I want to earn, and I set my rates accordingly. And then I look for clients who will pay those rates. So instead of kind of taking whatever happens to land in the inbox, I'm very deliberate about who I work for, because I know that I don't want to work 60 hours a week. And so because of that, I have to choose my clients pretty carefully. And I also feel like, what do clients pay me for? They pay me to be creative. They pay me to be enthusiastic, to be flexible, to be the person who stays calm when the client is having a meltdown. And I feel like I can't do that if I'm burnt out and not thrilled with the job anymore. So I think my sort of internal barometer is that I think I want to look forward to Monday just as much as I look forward to Friday. And if that's not happening, then I need to change something.
Well, this is a good lesson to many of us, I guess, for the interview. Corinne, you have experience being a CTA, the Colorado Translators Association president, and then an ATA director. What are the difference, the challenges, and the rewards?
Yeah, that's a big question. And I think one thing you find, and you can probably say this, Thaïs, from working with Colorado Translators Association, is that in a local association, the officers do everything. Like everything is your problem, right?
Yes.
You have to help people who can't join the email list. You have to choose venues for events. You have to plan the menu. Like I remember the year before the first CTA mid-year conference that we did when I was president and Yves Baudot was vice president, I was printing the name tags at midnight the night before the conference. Whereas when you're on the ATA board, it's not that it's not a lot of work, but the ATA staff, God bless them, do all of those logistics. So you're not printing the name tags at midnight and you're not helping the people who can't join the email list and things like that. So I think I would say that in the difference is that on the ATA board, we try to be strategic to think, what do we want ATA to look like next year or in 5 years or in 10 years? What kinds of programs do our members get the most value out of and what new things do they want to see? And in ATA, obviously, the issues and certainly the amounts of money are much larger. So that's a big responsibility. But I think the huge difference is that the ATA board handles strategy while the ATA staff handle operations and logistics. So I'd say in ATA, being the voice of interpreters and translators is a huge responsibility. Serving over 10,000 people is a huge responsibility. And ATA is way more diverse than a local chapter in terms of geography and niches within the industry. But I'd say for you, if you can run a local association, you can do anything.
Well, thank you. By the way, we're trying now to get a plugin that can issue the name tags because we got tired of doing that.
Right. I know. It's always the name tags that send you over the edge. It's true.
It is. It's a nightmare. Yeah. Well, Corinne, I have seen some of your personal touch as an ATA director. Now I have a specific question for highly professional, targeted, oriented, yet nonconformist, thinking out of the box kind of person. What are the changes and evolution that you would like to see and implement to the ATA under your tenure?
That's funny because I guess I don't think of myself as that out of the box, but I do try to sort of think of creative solutions to the problems that associations face or challenges. So I think it's a really exciting time to be involved in professional associations and figure out where we fit in the 21st century. So if you think about it, from like the 14th century until most people had internet access, let's say like I got my first email account in 1993, so around the 1990s. Trade guilds and professional associations were the only way to meet other people who did the same job that you did. So if you were a translator in, before the 1990s, pretty much the only way to meet other people who did your job was through an entity like ATA. Whereas now we have Facebook groups, we have LinkedIn groups, we have listservs, Twitter feeds, Pinterest boards, and on and on. And so I think it's really interesting to look at where associations fit as kind of a gathering place for serious professionals. So I think ATA is on the cusp of a lot of really great things. Our PR program is really rolling along with our spokesperson training, and we're going to have some PR training at the conference. I just did a spokesperson interview for a kids magazine about what it's like to be a translator. The Chronicle Revamp Task Force was able to cut a huge amount of money from the Chronicle budget while producing what I think is going to be a better member service. Because as most people know, we've now dropped to 6 print issues a year, and we'll be filling that in with an all-new website for the Chronicle that's in development right now that I think is going to be very exciting. We're bringing interpreters more into the fold with the new CI credential. So huge thanks to our Interpreting Policy Advisory Committee, who did a lot of work over the past 2 years to make that a reality, so that in the near future, you know how ATA certified translators have the little CT notation next to their name, and now interpreters who are certified in legal, medical, or conference interpreting will get a little CI designation next to their names. So I think all of those are incredible changes. I think what we need to look at in the next 4 years that I'll be on the ATA board is bringing more people in their 20s and 30s into ATA, since they're the next generation of the profession. There are lots of them out there. There are lots of people in their 20s and 30s who are translators and interpreters, but I think we have to look at how do we bring them into ATA? And I know we're going to talk later about the keyboarded certification exam that's been sort of suspended since last year's ATA conference, but I think that's another obvious thing for us to look at, is having a really robust computerized certification exam. And then just because I'm really into professional development and continuing education, I'd like to see us be the go-to place for professional development for translators and interpreters, so that when you think, how do I keep up my skills or develop new skills as a translator or interpreter, that the first thing you think of is ATA.
I'm sure you accomplish a lot.
Well, let's hope.
You will. Now, about the ATA certification exam, the so-called and talked about exam, are there any new changes to be implemented soon that you can let us know?
Yeah, I can, because thanks to the certification committee and our certification chair, David Stevenson, they've been doing a huge amount of work on this. So I think everybody knows that the computerized exam has been suspended since the ATA conference in Chicago. That was the last time that we offered it. And I think it's important to say that nobody is happy with that everyone agrees that we really need to move it into the 21st century, but that the old system was problematic. The old computerized system was problematic. So we do also want to get the word out. There will not be a computerized exam at this year's conference. You can take the exam at this year's conference, but only the paper version. So there will be no computerized exams for at least the rest of 2015. But our hope is that after that, and this is the update we just got from the certification committee, that the exam is going to move to a totally new model, which the certification committee people are testing now, so that the exam will be fully online, and they'll potentially even be able to eliminate the handwritten version. So none of that is set in stone, but the board did get a really nice update from the certification committee that their goal is that as soon as possible in 2016, that they'll have a completely new system for the computerized exam. And their goal, which I think all of us would support, is to not rush into a new system or deploy something new before it's ready. But I do think it's also important to say nobody's thrilled that we haven't had computerized exams for a year. We hear people and we get it when they say that we really need to move away from the handwritten exam. So yeah, but we're excited about the new potential developments for 2016.
Thank you, Corinne.
Sure, thank you.
Is there anything else that you would like to say before we end this interview?
I think we covered it. I'm just looking forward to seeing everybody in Miami. Don't forget that the early bird deadline for registration expires pretty soon. I believe it's September 25th. Check the ATA website for more information, but I'm just really excited about the program in Miami, and of course excited about going someplace warm in the beginning of November. So we'll see you November 4th through 7th in Miami.
Well, thank you, Corinne, for this interview to your Colorado Translators Association, CTA, and also to the ATA members. Translators, if you have questions or comments, contact us through our website, cta-web.org, or via our social media platforms, or you can contact Corinne directly. I'm Thaïs, CTA President. Thank you for watching.
Thanks.